Welcome back to the Twisted Builds podcast. We're again, my apologies. This is a month since the last episode, but we're coming back at it, and I am going to try to do another one by end of month. So I want to get into the bi-monthly schedule, but a lot of it's just a lot of stuff going on personally, so I haven't had time. But how's it going, Kevin?
It's going good.
So
Yeah, stuff's moving, making progress on some stuff. Still not making progress on some other stuff, but I feel like it's forward movement.
forward movement's always good.
Yeah,
It's the same
yeah.
with what I'm doing right now. It's like even if it's a little bit of progress, at least it's moving the right direction.
Mhm.
So, what have you been? I'm bringing up the podcast. My phone turned off. Give me a second. We have podcast subjects. We actually do work on this. Um,
We do a little bit of forethought.
yes. So we have down. You're starting a side or starting a powder coat side hustle.
Yes, yeah. So that I don't know. So I sent you the pictures. I don't know if you want to overlay the pictures
Yes.
on when you edit. So I'm doing a lot of like the yard cart dirt track wheels for some friends of my father. He does a lot of the tech and out there at the dirt tracks, and he
Okay.
does some engine building for some of the guys. So a lot of his friends are coming to me now that I have the powder coat set up. They're like, "Hey, do some wheels, do this," and then recently, I did that small cylinder head, so I decked that 50 thou, a
Okay.
full
Yeah.
50 thou, and that was a cylinder head for the little Harbor Freight Predator 212. And so I'm
That'll add
anxious
some
to see what
compression.
that does. Oh yeah, yeah. So I believe the stock combustion chambers are 22 cc, if I'm not mistaken. And for
Okay.
my math of me taking off the diameter and the 50 thou, it lost 3.89 cc, almost 4 cc. So that's a
Nice.
decent jump for that little thing
Mm-hmm.
in compression.
Well,
and
a lot of people probably don't know. I used to be in the small engines before I got into car stuff. I
yeah,
used to
yeah.
be
Well, that's
big
how
in
I
the
initially
tractor
found
lane.
you. So, like when
Yep.
you were doing the small engine dyno stuff
Oh
and years
yes.
ago.
I
Yeah.
still need to get. I still need to do like that. Like again, I've learned so much since I've tried that, and I would totally do it differently.
Uh,
Um, and that was a lot. Like I was learning a lot of electronics and stuff, and yeah, I forgot that's how you found me.
Yeah,
But
I mean, we should collab on one together too. I wouldn't mind. I
I
mean,
would
I can
love
design
to
it up. You
do.
can design it up. We can throw the files back and forth, and
I would
yeah.
love to do like a water break, like an actual water break style.
So, so I have a Stuska water brake. Oh, I didn't even think about that. I could 3D scan that dang thing. So I wrote out some hand blueprints a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, and
Okay.
hand blueprinted out the water brake and the inner veins and the inner radiuses of all the veins and all that such. I should go ahead and throw that into scan it, throw that into CAD. We need to scale that up or down.
That would be cool. I
Mhm.
would like I have and this is like this whole podcast is going to be tangents, but I have a whole like I literally have I think it's like a 200-gallon tank that I bought for like $50. It used to be an old fuel storage tank that I've
Mhm.
always thought it would be perfect to like make it safe to weld to and then like weld a water inlet and outlets for it to
Mhm.
have like an actual engine dyno or something to
Mhm.
play with because that would be perfect and then do something like that like build a dyno for like scale it up to like an ls or something like that and
Mhm.
then just start fiddling.
I didn't even think about this until now, until you mentioned you had a tank. The lady that I purchased my shop from, and the
Mm-hmm.
lady that I'm currently purchasing that 3 axle gooseneck trailer from.
Yes,
So
yes.
we recently last week I went out there and looked at some of the other stuff on her property, and she's kind of basically cleaning house of all
Mm-hmm.
the leftover stuff. And there's I think a 3 or 400 gallon just plate steel cube hydraulic reservoir tank. I was like, that
Okay.
would now that you say that, that'd be perfect for something like that. And I have I think a 80 gallon hot water heater tank that I think it was an electric hot water heater tank that the heater element went out, and then I was
Okay.
just given the tank. So the tank is I had it's almost brand new. There is not even used. An element went out on it, and then somebody just immediately bought a new one again.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that as a reservoir as well. So man, I need to start.
That
I got so much
and
stuff that I could
and that
start
would
building out of.
actually that's a honestly, that's a phenomenal idea because the water, like if it's a dual water element tank,
Mhm,
you have a
mhm.
lower element and an upper element. That
Yes,
lower
yeah,
element would be perfect for a
yeah.
water outlet. And then,
Well, even
man,
even even those they all have outlet valves on the bottom too.
yes, they do
So I don't
for
know if
like
you
a
know. Yeah, for drainage.
safety to drain too.
Yep,
Yes,
yep,
yeah, I've had to service my hot water heater a couple times,
yeah,
but yeah, I don't replace it. I'll actually go in there and fix it. But
yeah,
but yeah, man, that's a darn good idea. I wasn't even planning on talking about that, but that's
yeah.
phenomenal. Like
Yeah,
that's
we're on the topic
yeah.
of dino stuff again. Man, this light is terrible. I got a light like right
Oh,
above me, so it shadows
you're
out my face.
fine.
But um, the shop, oh gosh, that's a whole tangent. But there's getting a lean-to that's going to be built on the side of my shop, and that's
Okay,
going to house my inertia dyno. So that's the one that I
nice.
currently already have. I think you've seen some videos of it. I
Yes,
don't know
I've
if we want
seen
to
that.
throw up. I may have done a video or two and posted on YouTube. It's been a while, so I can't remember. But I need to get you a picture of that as well. Have you overlay that? But
That sounds
it's a good
awesome. I'll
inertia
definitely do
dyno.
that.
I think it's good for 50 horse either each inertia wheel or 50 horse total for each inertia wheel. And then that was also the package deal that came with the Stuska water brake, and I think the water brake's good for 200 or 250 horse. So I
Okay.
mean, even then you can do stock engines for
Yes.
what all that combined is, and I have the was it DTech out of Australia. I have the data acquisition system that I ended up importing from Australia. I bought contacted that company and they just loaded me
We
up
could
with
even
all sorts
switch
of
it to
sensors
like
and
a your
stuff.
dyno setup.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if you've ever looked into your dyno or whatnot. That's like an open source
It's been a
type
while.
deal.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. At least it used to be open source. I may have went closed source recently. I'm not sure,
Mm,
but it's still like a budget friendly style dyno controller. Because
mm.
I was doing my own Arduino stuff, but I started looking into that. And it's like, why reinvent the wheel when it's
Yeah,
cheap, effective, and reliable?
yeah. When I
So,
ended up calling up DTech, I'm pretty sure the company's called DTech.
mhm.
Um, they packaged up the deal for a good price, and I think it was close to 2,000 or a little over 2,000, but it came
Okay,
with absolutely everything I needed and the ability to wire up any kind of like K type sensors, like little thermocouples or anything
nice.
that I needed to it, and it also came with a USB. Where is that? Let me think here. I'll grab that later and I'll show you. It came with a weather station, and
Okay,
it's about yay big, about yay tall. It's a little rectangle box, and you plug it into USB, and it takes temperature, atmospheric pressure, humidity, all that stuff out of this one box. So it's supposed to be like you take it to the racetrack with you. You plug it in, you can be able to do your tuning off of that for elevation and air
okay,
density and yeah, for somebody who's not kind of racing on closed loop, but open loop and
yes,
adjusting beforehand. But
nice.
yeah,
Okay,
they packaged me up good. But yeah, I mean, we can probably do something comparable for a fraction of the price of what I paid. But at the
yes,
time, it was a good deal for me.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm sure. That's just we're gonna have to revisit that because that's definitely gonna
Yeah,
that
we're gonna put
probably ought
that
to
on the
happen.
list.
Yes, yes. Well, all right. Bring so yeah. If anyone listening to this like doesn't understand, like we're gonna tangent pretty hard on this because again, it's
Yeah.
been a month and we need to do this more often. So,
Yeah.
but yes, which is again a lot of my fault, but we're gonna get there. So I had on there, and I think I might not have sent you photos of this. Did I send you photos of me playing with the old factory LS engine computers?
No,
Probably not. Okay.
you mentioned about the P59s. I see scanning dots on there,
There's
so
skinny
that's
dots on.
something I was yeah.
So
Well,
I
elaborate.
yes, so I'm the Firebird is going P59. I actually
Mhm.
literally just got
That's
these
what's in
in
my truck.
yesterday. Yes.
Oh, those are
So
nice.
yeah,
I use those for the bulkhead fittings at work. So we stick those. We drill holes in the cabs for the cat tractors. Run those.
bulkhead fittings for the
Yep,
Firebird. I got two of them. So
beautiful.
one of them's going to do engine management. The other one's going to do the ethanol content sensor, fuel rail pressure sensor, and then transmission. So, but
Awesome,
which
awesome.
you've known this, but just for our
Mhm,
viewers that don't know this, it's just a circular connector that goes together like that and clips in. And I got the
mhm,
pins and the lock nut and the or lock washer and nut and everything for it. But
mhm,
I've been wanting to fiddle with these. I haven't ever fiddled with them, and I've had buddies talk to me about, hey, will you do like custom harnesses? And I've thought about it, but the
mhm.
Firebird's always been something I wanted to play with. So I don't know. Have you ever played with those boots as well?
Not that style. No, that's nice. I
So
can imagine where that would come in handy right now. To be honest.
yes, so they make these boots as well. I got all this stuff from DigiKey because it was TE actually didn't have them in stock. They're all made by TE. They're Dutch. They're Dutch,
Mhm.
however you say it. But they have 90-degree boots, so you just cut the end open because it's a sealed
Yep.
end. But you cut it open and then you run your wire out of it, which is gonna be perfect for where I'm putting it in my firewall. I gotta make it 90, so that's
Mhm.
perfect.
That's nice.
That'll let me
So, did that one come with the bulkhead rubber washer as well? Because the ones that I'm using, they that is a failure, or not really a failure point. You have to be very particular on lubing that washer up and not over torquing the nut when you tighten it into the wall or whatever you're
because
tightening it into. It just
the
shoots out the
rubber.
side. Yeah, yeah,
Gotcha.
it squeezes
So
out the side. So that's
this
one issue that I've noticed with those. I don't know if that's your style.
this specific data sheet, because I did go through the data sheet to make sure I was getting everything correctly, didn't mention anything about a rubber washer for the
Okay,
firewall.
okay,
So my plan was just to put a thin layer of RTV on it and then put
that
it
that
through
would
the
probably
firewall.
be better.
That was my thought. That
Mhm.
way I don't have to worry about it leaking into the cab. But I mean, the cab's not super sealed anyway. It's on that Firebird, so it's not a big
I'm
deal.
raising my
It's a
chair.
fair weather
Sorry,
car. Oh, you're fine. But
just got up close and personal.
but yes, so I'm working on a custom wiring harness, which I'll probably be working on this week now that these stuff finally showed up.
How many
Doing it
pin is that
all.
connector? Is that
This
was a
one's
38 or
47,
okay? Okay,
47 pin. So I got two of them. One will
that
literally
is.
do everything for the engine,
Mhm.
without the flex, without the fuel rail pressure. The fuel rail is just kind of an added thing. I already have the sensor on the rail, and I figured out how to import the pressure into the P59 and display it. So I'm just gonna do that. And
Man,
then
I need to. I have the flex sensor and pigtail and nipples on the ends of the sensor. I have all the connector to run that in my truck, and I just haven't yet. I need to so bad. It'd be nice to
yeah,
run some flex in that thing. But yeah, that's the same ECU that I have in my with my LS
yep.
Swap Dodge.
So the excuse me, because of my work, I found on Facebook Marketplace. I know you're not a big Facebook fan, but a lot of the Ford techs are on Facebook, so that's another reason why I'm on there. And there was a guy that got out of being a Ford tech that went fleet that bought his own VCM3, which is the latest and greatest diagnostic scan tool cord for
Okay.
Ford, and they retail for about $2,000, and he
Oh,
had it
did
for
you get?
sale in $500.
Ooh.
Yeah,
So is
I
that?
had to take it out of most of the factory packaging. It was
Oh, so
practically
just
new.
untouched. So is that
Yeah,
just a dongle, or is that what all is that including?
I will overlay a photo in this. I'll text you a photo of it tomorrow. But
Okay.
it's actually a cord, so it plugs into the OBD2 port on one side. It goes into the interface. It's a J253936. It's a pass through interface, and then it has a
Okay.
USB cord that goes to the computer.
Got it.
So the Ford cord with PCM Hammer software, which is completely open source, and Universal Patcher, which is completely open source. They were made by the guys that made like LS Droid and stuff like that.
Mhm.
You can use the Ford cord with that software to force flash a P59 or a P01 ECU with the all the like if you wanted to go completely open source, like the tuner pro definitions are out there. You can use universal patcher to take any operating system and force it to have flex field capability, because like HP tuners,
Really?
oh yeah,
So
oh
yeah,
yeah,
HP tuners. I know you have
you
to
have to find a
match.
file. You have
Yeah,
to have a file that is flex fuel enabled, because you can enable it with the drop down and it doesn't do
and it does
anything
nothing. Yep.
because there's
It
there's
doesn't have that
cables that are
that internal
hidden.
package. Yep.
So you can use the software to force flash anything to have flex fuel at all. Doesn't
Oh,
matter.
that is
So
beautiful.
you
That's
can
so beautiful.
take I've done this too. You can take operating systems that someone has already patched with HP tuners to like a 3-bar operating system, take that operating system, flash it to a bench P59 that's just on the bench, read it off with it'd be PCM Hammer, read the bin file off, change the segment swap, because segment swapping in HP tuners, you have to be on an unpatched file. So like you have to be on the
Yes.
original file. You can't be on a 2-bar or 3-bar. This
Yep.
guy does not give a crap. It'll take as long as the original operating system before the 2-bar or 3-bar patch is the same as the operating system that you're grabbing. Like say you're going from a 60E to an 80E, the HP tuners file has already got the 3-bar operating system on it, and it's a 60E, and you want to segment swap it to an 80E, you can flash the PCM with HP tuners with your 3-bar 60E tune, read it off of PCM Hammer, do the segment swap with the file that has the 3-bar operating system on it, swap it to an 80E, flash it back into the computer, then read it back with HP tuners and do all your editing, and it just all works and everything's
Oh man,
happy. And I've
that is
already
just
done it.
beautiful. And I'm getting tired of HP tuners, to be honest. So I
Yeah,
know
I
that
haven't
this seems
updated.
like a lot more work because
It
HP
is a lot
tuners,
more work.
I do kind of like how everything's set up, and I've bought all their courses. They keep bugging me. They want me to do like a 2-day in person class with them because I have all the paper courses and all that
Hmm.
stuff. Yeah, I don't know. They're kind of irritating me as a company.
Me too.
Yeah.
So I still have the original Accord. I have original like older software for that cord because I know the new cords like this is where HP Tuners as a company is kind of shady, and it's like public knowledge. I'm not breaking anything, but like the original MPVI cords, if you go to like version 5.0, they'll brick the cord with a firmware update because they want
Oh.
you to go to MVPI 2 and 3.
Mhm.
So, and it's known. Like it's all over the forums, it's all over the
Well,
internet.
you can't even
It's
go
a
to
known
MPVI 2
problem.
anymore. You can't because I contacted them. I think it was last month or 2 months ago, and I lost my module about a year ago. I contacted them. They sent me a link saying, "Hey, here's a link to buy a new one, but it's discounted because you already own one. We're not
Hmm.
going to require you to send one." It was kind of like an upgrade, but it wasn't an upgrade. I was buying the same one. So, but
Yeah.
instead of having me to send the one that I had in there because it was lost or left in a customer's vehicle, they sent me the link. It was discounted to buy the same one, so I don't got to pay full price. I get to keep my serial number, and then I get to keep everything associated with it. So it was just basically giving me another one that was exactly the same. You cannot do that with MPVI 2 anymore. They were forcing me to upgrade to MPVI 3. I was like, I didn't want to, and I still don't
Yeah.
want to. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can't even do that with the MPVI 2. It's obsolete, and this was like within a year. Within a year
Hmm.
that happened. So it's not like this was 5 years down the line.
Yeah. Yep.
It's that oh that gets under my skin.
Yeah. There's some stuff that there like I know the reasoning behind that, but I don't feel comfortable disclosing that on a podcast. We'll have to talk about that after
Oh,
hours.
okay, okay.
There's reasoning behind it. So,
I may know
but
it. I just may not know it right now, but that may be something
yeah.
that I already know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, overall as a company, like when they started purposely bricking MPVI ones, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm done. Like, I like their software. I love their tuning interface. I love their scanner. I don't like what they're doing anymore. So I'm keeping my old stuff. Whatever it works with, it works with,
Mhm.
and that's just that. So,
Yep. Speaking on the topic of kind of scanning, doing stuff with the ECUs, how much have you been paying attention to the wireless OBD that's getting released? Do you know too much about that? Because from what I hear, so the reason I'm getting on this topic.
how about we do a question and answer, and I'll answer what I'm allowed to.
Well, I'm not questioning you specifically. I'm just
Yes.
trying to start the conversation because what I know so far is that back in 2012, and this because I'm still big on right to repair, and this is
Yes.
how I'm getting into this is back in 2012 in I think Massachusetts. a 75-25 vote. They voted into law this right to repair on vehicles that you own. And the wordage of this law deemed that the manufacturer could not block you from the diagnostic software internally of the vehicle that you purchased. Because if you purchased the vehicle, if it came with the diagnostics capabilities inside the ECUs, they could not prevent you from getting into that on your own. That couldn't prevent you from going to O'Reilly's or AutoZone and getting a code scan. But the wordage of this law did
Real
not
quick,
apply to the Wi-Fi or the wireless diagnostics.
real quick.
And
Are you talking
okay,
about the Massachusetts law?
yes,
Okay, continue. Sorry, I
yes,
wanted to make sure I
yeah,
was on the same page.
yeah. Sorry, did I not say that? Did I skip over the state?
You might have said
Okay,
it. I
yeah,
don't remember. It doesn't matter. Keep going.
yes. Um, oh, I lost my train of thought there. So the wordage of that did not apply to the wireless diagnostics. So if you had, let's say, a I don't even know if they have it now. So like the ECUs with Bluetooth chip or modules in it, to where you can just diagnostic off your phone, or the OnStar diagnostic stuff. So that did not apply. The manufacturers, the motor vehicle manufacturers, did not have to give you access to that
Okay.
due to it being wireless. Well, so now the NHSTA told the auto manufacturers to where they don't have to apply, that law doesn't apply to them anymore, all of this stuff back and forth. And I may not be getting this exactly right, um, but the way that a lot of these auto manufacturers are getting away from you being able to repair your own vehicle is that the diagnostics they're doing wireless. So that way they are trying to kind of phase out some of these old school OBD2 plugins
It's
to
also
prevent
DCMA.
people. Okay.
It's also DCMA. So I got a tiptoe here.
I didn't know
uh,
you knew anything about this. So this was
oh yeah. Crap. I'm trying to think
this
the
this
best
was
way.
literally I was watching Louis Rossman. So he's a MacBook, or not really specifically MacBook. He repairs cell phones, laptops,
Okay.
computers, stuff like
Yep.
that. And he's big on right to repair. He's been lobbying for, I don't know, quite a few years, dumped tens of thousands of his own money into it. And he came out with a video on the way here when I left work, and I had my headphones in and I was listening to it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's blowing me away how these big O corporations, like, you do not own anything anymore. You will own nothing and be happy that, oh, you're paying
Yes.
$100,000 for this vehicle because of inflation when it should be worth $20,000. You can't even repair it anymore because you're renting it from us technically. Like, you don't
Yeah.
even get to do your repairs. It's God, it's a big one, big issue
Yeah.
with me.
So all right. So, yeah. So I'm still trying to tiptoe here with what I can talk about. Um DCMA is coming into a lot of it because of the copyright of the code on the vehicles. So it's the same way of how you can copyright computer programs and stuff like that
Okay.
because it's technically electrical code. Um, like the manufacturer's not going to stop you from seeing a suspension component that's bent or damaged, or like a wheel bearing failed or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You get into the digital side of things, relatively. So you got the DCMA, you got the scan tool software from, like, we'll use Ford because that's the manufacturer I work for. The scan tool software itself is covered under the DCMA because it is software. The software on the modules is covered under the DCMA because it's copyrighted code. You are allowed access to and Ford will publish all of the federally mandated information for diagnostics. So if it's federally mandated for a ICE vehicle for like emissions coverage, they're going to release anything that is federally mandated by the OBD2 standard and the Clean Air Act. That way, the aftermarket company or aftermarket repair shops and stuff can get in there and get the data they need to fix that vehicle. That data has a really old speed limit in the law, so they are restricting uh, data speeds, transfer speeds, so that way they can keep the bus more active for everything else going on in the vehicle. They This is a whole big can of worms. It's like because you got two, like you got right to repair, and I understand that. Like I'm on both sides of the fence, like hardcore, because you got
Mhm,
right to repair, and I am pro being able to repair my own stuff. The other part of it though is like think of it like the Windows operating system.
mhm,
The DCMA covers that from going in there and just straight up hacking it. Like if you hacked it and you will take an aftermarket scan tool a company as an example. Like if you're a startup and you hacked your way into this vehicle, hacked into the code, and now you're going to start selling that as a service, you've violated a lot of law to do that. Um, there's no good answer to this.
mhm. And like you said, you've seen a little bit of both sides. I mean, I can see their side of it too, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
also thinking like, what would be better, more restriction or less restriction in the end? And in my opinion, it would probably be less
So
restriction.
less restriction. I'm very pro less restriction. However, like it costs these companies millions, if not billions of dollars to write these programs that these vehicles are running.
Mhm.
Now, in saying that, should they release the diagnostic ability for aftermarkets like Snap on and stuff to grab a hold of it and diag things? Yes, and they still do, and they actively do. Do they release everything? No.
No.
Should they is where it gets gray
Mhm.
because, like, you got to think of it from the aftermarket standpoint where you could have Joe Schmo off the street with no credibility to him whatsoever working on systems that can drive the freaking vehicle
Mhm.
because of the new technology coming out. And if they work on it incorrectly, it could drive that vehicle into a crowd of people.
Mhm. And
So,
then at
where do
that
you
point,
draw the line?
would the manufacturer be liable? So maybe they're trying to limit some liabilities on
And that's a
that.
lot of this. That's a lot of this because, like,
Well, I mean, I see how that would
there's no
be a
good
lot of it, but there's
answer.
also yeah, there's also the unnecessary digitization of items on the vehicle that it don't need to be in
I
order
agree.
to drive profit.
I agree.
So, and that's happened with John Deere for a while too.
A long
Uh,
while.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, yeah,
So it's to me like I'm looking at it away from stepping back, looking at it, and it's almost like they're using that liabilityness as a scapegoat
yeah, and
to do
some,
everything else, and
so
it's
yeah,
very
and
very
some of
muddy.
it, and like a lot of it is like this is federally mandated stuff that our elected officials take that with a grain of salt as well. But you know what I mean. have have like instituted onto the automotive industry. Like they want these safety features. I don't know how new of a vehicle you've been in lately, but a lot of them have a reminder to check your rear seats for kids that
Yeah.
goes off when you shut the key off.
Hmm.
That's a federally mandated law. That's not like for me, it's Ford Motor Company. That thing's so
Hmm.
annoying when it goes ding, 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 and it comes up on your screen like check the rear seats for occupants. Like, no,
Hmm.
duh.
Hmm.
But that's a federal mandated law, and a lot of people don't like. And this is where I'm very and with a topic we're going to get into pretty much directly because it ties right into this. Um, I'm very pro like pro right to repair with competent people that know what they're doing because like you got to remember the radio on some of these newer Fords, the radio, if you mess that up, like mess up your sync programming, that has ADOS and it has ADOS capabilities in that radio. Like that radio does stuff for some of the safety features on the car. It's in your radio.
Oh, and you know
So
it
like
was designed
and you
like
don't
that.
What?
You know, it was purposefully designed with that intention too.
It was, but like
That wasn't
a
like a
lot of
oops, it does that.
yeah, like and yes, I agree there. It's like a lot you got it's one of those like a lot of people that want to fiddle with their cars don't understand the second and third order effects of what they're doing.
Mhm.
So that's where like there's got to be a line drawn somewhere where like
Yeah,
the
my
newer vehicle
my
we're not going to get away from the tech. I
my.
do I think the new vehicles are getting way too far advanced? Yes. Definitely
Mhm,
compared to what four wheels and engine something that stops. They'll get
mhm.
you around. But
So my fix to this, just personally, and this is probably why used cars are kind of skyrocketing through the market right now. I will never own anything else 2008 or newer. So my truck's 2007. I will
mhm,
have that or older. I have my Camaro. It's a 2010, but that's kind
you've
of in
ripped
an
everything
area.
out of that. Yeah.
It's completely gutted. It is straight up race car.
Yeah.
Um, so that I don't really think that counts too much when it comes to daily driver. Man, I'm going to keep my older vehicles on the road, and even if that means having to retrofit some of the off the wall EPA stuff and do some
This is
sort of
going right
DIY
into my next
hybrid.
topic.
Yeah. Then I'll keep that going just to grandfather myself into a lot of the issues that I don't need to deal with the newer
Yes.
vehicles.
So yes, and I like I agree there. Like my wife's is a 2018 Rav4, and that's pretty much gonna be that. Like I've told her, like if the wheels fall off that thing, I'm figuring some way of bolting them on, 3D scanning, fabricating. I don't care, and like we're gonna own that thing forever. I drive a 2012 Ford Fiesta, and then I've got all the other toys like the Firebird, the S10.
Mhm.
I've got the '04 Silverado, um and I'll have another one eventually, but another truck, but that's a story for another time.
So
Um,
you hear me and you talking about this, how we're holding on to stuff that can be repaired,
yes,
uh, and even
or heavily
upgraded.
modified if needed
Yeah,
to be.
yes, that's easily capable. So I think these mandates are really shooting the government in the foot a lot. So they're you hear that they're really concerned about economy. Well,
Mhm.
when me and you and knowledgeable people, when enough of us are getting together and we're not buying these brand new vehicles, well that's a hurt because of
Yes,
some of these mandates. That's a
yep,
that makes it the country that this flag is. That makes that go down quite a bit when it comes to the economy.
I
So they're
agree.
kind of shooting themselves in the foot like that. So I wouldn't be
So
surprised if there's some sort of new cash for clunkers thing that's going to pull up here soon
I
with
wouldn't
a
be
force.
surprised.
Yeah,
Definitely with the EV push we've had lately.
yeah. Mm.
Uh,
I
that's
like
interesting.
some of the EV stuff. So not necessarily the big manufacturer EV push, but Edison Motors. I don't know if you're aware of them.
Mm-mm.
So they, oh man, you need to go down that rabbit hole, and it's not a long rabbit hole either. It is absolutely
Okay.
beautiful. So they're taking these older semi trucks, completely EV, converting them over to do heavy logging operations, to
Okay.
haul hundreds of thousands of pounds with the 2 and 3 tandem trailers, all done on electronic axles and everything else like that. And their whole
Hmm.
premise is easily repairable. So you think of like they're taking these old semis that have two flat planes of glass, and this is one of their examples. Well, the flat planes of glass, they're cheap. If one breaks, you go to a local glass supplier, get a flat plane of glass cut to that size. You can put a new windshield in that, and it's just one side too. It's not like you're replacing the whole thing. Well, a lot of those bigger trucks, they're pretending like, oh, aerodynamics. That's why we have to have a curved windshield, not because we need to charge you $1,800 to replace that because it's got a chip in it.
Yeah.
So their whole premise is easy repairability, but still pushing more toward some of the EV stuff because there's some good pros to that, and especially in some of the heavy industrial equipment, there's some real good pros. And it's not like they're having a semi full of batteries; they do have a diesel engine that's generating electricity for the electronic axles. Um,
Okay.
and there's a lot of pros to that as well. So
Yes.
Edison Motors, yeah, I would definitely go down that rabbit hole. I would suggest going down that
I will
rabbit
have to.
hole, and it's not a super long one either.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
definitely have to do that. But going back to on our topic of hacking new stuff and making stuff work. We've probably talked about this in the past. I'm actively working on it now. I've got so many irons in the fire, but
You and me both.
this is one of those projects. Like, everything's done for the evening. I'm at my computer. I can just sit there and work on it, and it's wonderful. Um, you know about me working on the 21 Dodge Ram with the Canbus
Yes.
stuff.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm actively coding. It'll be Logger and a reverse engineering tool for not only Canbus 2.0 networks, but Canbus FD networks. And
Okay.
then I'm going to release, uh, I would say, I wouldn't say budget friendly, but it's going to be like priced fairly.
Capable.
Um,
Entry
yeah,
capable.
well, the unit, but I'm talking training. Like, I'm
Okay.
gonna do
Yeah,
video
I forgot.
training.
I forgot. Yes, I did hear about the
Yes,
training. Yeah.
yes. So that's the plan. Like, I want to do video training on how to use the stuff. Um, grab. I've got a couple buddies with newer cars that have the FD network. The FD network's not going to go anyway. If anything, it's going to get more prevalent. So I'm trying to get one foot forward into where the market is going for CAN bus stuff, and then teach everyone how to screw with it.
Oh gosh. Well, then you're liable. So,
So
can you dive into the variations of Canvas a little bit?
okay, so you've got Canbus. Most automotive stuff since we've had it in the automotive field, which is about 2006, maybe something like that, maybe 2008, 2006, somewhere around there, as a 2.0 B standard for Canbus. So, um, what was your question again?
Can you go into the differences between the variations of Canvas?
Okay, so CAN 2.0B is what we kind of started with in the automotive industry. It is a slower version of CAN FD, so it's still plenty fast. You can have, I don't know, probably 15 modules talking to each other on a single CAN network, and that's
It,
why a lot of, sorry, go on.
are they pushing more toward the faster speed due to the safety systems, or is it because there's just so many
They're
individual
they're
CAN bus modules?
yes,
Okay, yeah,
yes,
all of it.
both.
Yeah, okay.
So
When we have
yeah,
200
there, so
separate modules in a
yeah,
single
so what was
vehicle,
what
but
was going on was they had the CAN bus 2.0B, which, like, literally that 21 Ram that I worked on reverse engineering for a full send diesel. That thing had the 2.0B network on it, and it was 21. 22 RAM, they flipped over to the FD network on some of the modules. I'm going to use Ford because I know Ford relatively inside and out, which is scary. Definitely on the new stuff. I know it. People buying Fords. I'm a Ford tech, and I know that intimately. Regardless, um, the they were getting so many modules on networks that they started, instead of just having one CAN network, they went to like two CAN networks on the vehicle. Then they went to three CAN networks on the vehicle. Then they went to, like, okay, we're gonna do an infotainment CAN network. We're gonna do a medium speed CAN network for, like, your steering wheel buttons and stuff like that. That could be on the infotainment network. It might not be, depending on design. And then we're gonna do high speed. High speed will be like your ABS module, your
Mhm,
PCM, your body control module, stuff like that.
mhm.
They went from then to where, like, okay, we're getting so many modules on the vehicle now. Talking on CAN network, we're stressing all these CAN networks, and we're stressing the gateway modules that are taking messages from, like, say, the infotainment network, going to the gateway module, and then
Prioritizing and
transferring it to
decoding.
high speed.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, like they pretty much think of it like a relay center where they're taking a message in and then toss it on a different
you just
network
got a
out,
little
and those
person
would
in there with some plugs and some so like that.
sure,
Like the
yes,
old the telephone switch connections.
yes. But yeah, so the networks were getting pretty strained with what the manufacturers were doing to the vehicles. So at that point, they have now started doing FD CAN network, which FD is flexible data, so, or flexible data transfer. So a 2.0 message, you have roughly, it's normally 8 bytes of or um 8 bytes worth of messages. I think that's the right way of saying it. So you have your message ID, which is kind of, think of it like a phone number for the message, and everything's on a broadcast network. So like
Mm-hmm.
the PCM is constantly broadcasting everything. The only
Yep.
time this changes is when you have a send receive type request, which doesn't happen very often. It's normally due to scan tool equipment that does send receive on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Besides for that, 99% of car communications are broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
So
And the individual modules needing to receive can kind of filter out what it doesn't need to hear or doesn't need to see. Yep.
exactly. So instead of filter out, it's better to the more correct way of saying it would be they are programmed to look for certain messages.
Okay.
So
Because
the same
each
difference.
message has like a prefix and a suffix type deal to establish the
Prefix,
beginning and the end of the message. And yeah.
yes. So like
Okay.
and like even like that's even getting into like the way the network itself works, but not how the module responds to it. So
Okay.
like the way a module responds, and I learned this from that 21 RAM. I got like an intimate knowledge with 2.0B from that RAM.
You need to pass on some of that, man. Give me some research material so I can get up to date on it.
But I'll have to send you what I can, not of the RAM, but just of the networks.
Uh,
But regardless, so the 2.0B standard has, think of it, message ID is the phone number, and then it has up to 8 data bytes of data that go from 0 to 255, because one byte has a 0 to 255 value. It's got 8 bytes worth. So you can take, say for instance, you wanted to do RPM on message ID 1. So you'll have 4-digit ID, it'll be 0001 would be the ID number. And say your RPM is over 2 bytes, it's a little endian, so it is the first 2 bytes are like, say you're idling at 800 RPM, right? So the first byte in the message would be 08, and I'm talking in decimal. It's done over hex, but you can transfer it to decimal real quick regardless. The first byte in the message would be 08, and then the second byte would be 00. You add those two together, you get 800 RPM. If you wanted like 6,000 RPM, it'd be 60 and then 00. And that's how the message looks at it. It's always broadcast. So all the stuff, like they'll wait for the bus to have an empty, like literally microsecond of a slot, and they'll toss a message out on it. And for instance, like that RAM, I was cycling through 20 plus messages in 5 seconds or 5 milliseconds. 20, it was 20 plus messages in 5 milliseconds.
dang, dang! I wonder when
It
we're
was
gonna start
constantly doing
fiber
that.
opting that stuff.
Well, onboard Ethernet's a thing now with Ford.
Oh, okay.
So,
I was not aware
my
of that
yeah,
at all.
like literally like the same cabling you use for Ethernet in your house,
Mm,
automotive equivalent, same thing, same connector. Oh, but it might be some of the connectors are different, but some of the connectors are the
mm,
same. So yeah, like we're getting to Ethernet speeds because we need the data transfer for the safety systems and anything. That's kind of going
mm.
off topic, but
Oh, sorry.
you're fine. But so yeah, going back to, and this whole thing's a tangent, but we're good. Um, but yeah, the 2.0B, you could have an ID that uses only 1 byte, so the other bytes it doesn't even use, but the maximum byte or information holding an ID can have is 8 bytes worth of data. Flexible data, or CAN-FD, is flexible. So I don't even know what the limit is. I think it's 64 bytes in a message. Like a single ID, I think
Okay.
can have
So
64
so
bytes of
so at
message.
that point, the same, and I'm shotgunning here, the same priority message could hold multiple different types of
It
information.
and it could hold a whole bunch of it in a single ID.
Gotcha. Because the permutations of that longer message are astronomically larger than the eight.
Oh yeah, and
Okay.
that's how it's moving so much data. So
Gotcha.
that's how. So they
And that
amplified the
does kind of
speed.
clear up the congestion, I guess.
Yes. So they amplified the speed and they amplified how much data can fly across the network at the like on the same ID network strategy, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. But so that was a whole rabbit hole, but that's kind of an idea of how the differing between CAN 2.0 and CAN FD is. And the box I'm building is going to be able, it's going to be you can hook it up to your computer with USB. It's also going to have onboard SD logging, so if you just want to hook it up to a couple of CAN
Sweet,
networks and log,
sweet.
you can. There's reasons behind all of that. So the USB logging will be able to do live data, which is something I used on that truck, and I've used on my own Fiesta and a couple other vehicles. to live watch a network message so that way you can reverse engineer what's doing. It's going to be the same way with the FD network. So it's going to have USB plug ability for the live network monitoring for reverse engineering. The SD card logging, I'm planning on running the thing on like I want to see if I can do it on a 9-volt battery. I might have to do two 9-volt batteries and then drop it down to 12 volts.
Ooh.
So, reason
Throw you
being,
some 18650s in there.
what's that?
The little rechargeable lithium. It's like
Okay.
the 18650.
And that
That's like the most common little
and
like
that might be
laptop
an
battery.
option.
Yeah, that's
That
probably a
might be
lot
an
better
option.
than
Like
9 volt.
yes, I'm still in the coding section of
Okay.
this project. I haven't even gotten that far yet, but like the theory behind this is I've got FD CAN network and two regular CAN networks it's going to be able to log. So it's going to be able to do all three simultaneously. Which isn't enough for the modern vehicle for like a lot of modern cars could have 5 or 6 networks at a time. So you will have to do like a log of a network, then move to a different network, then move to a different network. Once you figure out like the module you want to either illuminate, like enumerate, clone, on the network, you'll have to like record that, and then if you want to do it, excuse me, a different module on a different bus, you'll have to like move the wiring into that different module, so on and so forth. But where was I going with that? Okay, it's gonna have an amp clamp on it as well. Reason
Okay.
being, so I've personally ran into this. I've talked to a lot of techs that have ran into this. There's really no tooling out there for this that's any good, or the tooling is astronomically expensive. Like the one I found was almost $15,000. So that does something similar to this. What I want to do is I want to, and I have a 23 Mustang with 240 some miles that's doing this exact concern that gave me this idea. Um, once, say for instance, you have a vehicle with a parasitic drain, okay? Things running the battery dead overnight, over a couple nights, but it's intermittent and you can't find it. Like you do a regular parasitic drain test on with your like DVOM. We're gonna say my Blue Point because I'm literally talking from experience from this exact car. Um, say you do your parasitic draw, and once everything shuts up and goes to sleep, it's got like 6 milliamps of draw, which is freaking perfect.
Mhm.
Set your meter on record and like walk away for like a half hour, and it'll jump up to zero 0.2 amps, which obviously is bad, but it's intermittent and you can't find it. I
So is there
found
like a
which
cam issue that?
so I found the module that's causing it, and for the sake of privacy, I'm not gonna say what module it is. I think it's a programming error. Um, the I think something's either waking this module up, or the module itself is waking up and waking up a bunch of other modules on the network. So, in saying that, using my idea with this tool is to hook up the amp clamp, hook up the network ability to log over SD, turn the sucker on, and walk away. If you have to walk away overnight, like a 12-volt battery source should hold enough logging for like 72 plus hours. So if you have a vehicle that's draining overnight and you can catch the IDs of modules, like say the PCM has these level of IDs with it, so that's the PCM. It would take a little bit to, and this would be part of my training. Like it'd take a little bit to catch all the IDs of all the modules, or you can just blanket record everything, which is probably what I'd recommend.
Mhm.
And then once you found your draw, like you could see what modules waking up and posting IDs on the network, and then you can go after the modules till you find the one that has the ID, which would probably be the way I'd recommend doing it. There's a couple different ways of doing this. Regardless, you'd be able to watch the amp clamp spike, so the battery draw is, and watch what message happened at that point. And then like go after that module for your draw. This
Okay.
one in particular, I think, is a software issue, but we haven't gotten that far yet. But regardless, that's going to be an ability with
That
this product that I'm bringing.
that is remarkable. I know.
So,
So the limited CAN bus information I have is from Mechanic's Mindset. So
okay.
uh,
Say hi to my son, David. David, welcome to the podcast.
uh,
You want to say
you
hi?
look like my son Tyler.
He says you look like his son, Tyler. All right, head upstairs.
Yeah, I sent you a picture of those. So of
Yes,
my two kids, and
and I'll
you can
overlay it
throw that.
here.
Yeah, you could throw that up. But I've been messing with. I bought them a year or two ago. I bought them that little 3018 desktop CNC.
Yes.
And so those pictures that they're holding up, they would carve these little images, ones of
Okay.
chickens and stuff. So that's what they're holding up, is that they made those on that machine. But
Nice.
yeah. Anyway, get back to the Canbus stuff. So my limited knowledge that I know of Canbus has come from the training I got from Mechanics Mindset, because I got in early when he was offering some of his courses, and I kind of got a good package deal without having to deal with any of the subscription stuff. So I'm
Okay.
getting lifetime access to constant updates and stuff. So that is, from what I know, that is blowing my mind of what you're going to be able to do with what you're with your stuff.
And train people of how to do it with my
Yeah,
equipment.
that is a very, I would
It's
almost
where
say, particular specific type of tool, but that is not really that specific, because that the possibilities of use with that are tremendous.
I've ran into it probably a
Yeah.
dozen times in my career already. Like it,
Hmm.
and I'm making it with, and I'm making it for the new cars coming through, and that's the main thing. Like I'm making it for the cars that have FD networks on board, which is where the industry's going. It's where our EV cars are going. So like I'm future proofing this sucker. And like if it comes to the point, like say 10 years down the road where I gotta update this thing, I'll update a new version of it and kind of roll with that. But it's like
Hey, I
there's
mean,
not
technology progresses exponentially,
ex-
not linearly. So you say 3, 5,
exactly.
10 years, oh, it's going to be a year or 6 months.
Yeah. But like, and I look at it like we had 2.0B from, I'm going to say, like, safely can say from 2008 to 2021
Mhm.
on a lot of cars. So the automotive network, definitely because of the safety side of things, doesn't move as fast as like laptops and stuff like that. Like it's a
Yeah,
slow
yeah,
moving
true.
ship.
Hmm.
So I think it would last a while. Time's gonna tell. But
Okay.
and like going back to the reverse engineering part of it, like say this is where like this is gonna shine for off-road use to anyone listening in like
Ugh.
three-letter agencies. Say for instance,
Uh,
you want to take a Holly Terminator and put it on a vehicle for off-road use only and
that's
make all the
illegal.
stuff work. Like make your dash work,
You
make your radio work, make your
integration.
oh, imagine.
Oh, the possibilities.
Because like I did like again, Twisted Bills didn't do this. I personally did this with Full Send Diesel on that 21 Ram for Kevin. Me and Kevin
I mean,
did it.
not this Kevin.
Not this Kevin, sorry.
Yeah. No.
Kevin Kevin Kubanak, he owns Full Send Diesel. But like I've learned so much from that. Like and like you could use the tooling and the training I'm gonna provide to make you would have to know some coding stuff and like I won't even say coding stuff because like Motec, a lot of Motec, which we're talking some big bucks at that point, but Motec ECUs have customizable CAN output. It's already there. It's been there for I would say probably close to a decade. So if you had the equipment and the training to like, okay, I need to record all like the PCM is putting out this range of IDs. You can go into it while the car's still stock or get another car that's stock and use it. Record all those IDs and reverse engineer what exactly those IDs are doing.
Do some sort of
And then clone it all and make it all
yeah,
work.
that's the word I was getting to. Yeah, so
Yep.
okay.
So like you
That's
could use
pretty
a term,
awesome.
say for instance you built your own little box like I did to spoof what the factory PCM would do. You're like think of it like a man in the middle attack. You're grabbing all the CAN network data from say the Holy Terminator X or Mega Square or Big Stuff 3 if it's still around or pick your poison or coding the Motec to do it. You can make it output or ignore the Motec from it. Grab the other ones, grab the CAN data that's off of them, say Mega Square 3. Have this box read off the CAN network data from the Mega Square 3, change it to what the factory car wants to see, and output those messages. Now the dash is going to work. The body control module is going to work. The body control module is going to turn on the reverse lights like they're supposed to. The body control or the radio is going to see that the PCM for the automatic transmission is now in reverse. So let's kick on the reverse camera and like all the factory functions are going
Reverse.
to work. Yeah. So and make all that work with all the modern vehicles. So you can have like all the modern amenities
Mhm.
with your 1,000 horsepower engine running off of, say, Holly Terminator X,
Mhm. That's
and
really
just throw
nice
the middle
for
finger to
off-road
people.
use when you're off-road wheeling or on some
And you want your
tracks. It'd be
you want your
nice. It'd be
amenities. You
nice.
want your air
Yeah, absolutely.
conditioning.
You know what? They came with
I
the
mean,
vehicle.
who?
I'm going to keep them with the vehicle.
Yep, keep it all working. But
Absolutely.
yes, so
That is wonderful. Oh, I'm
I'm
so
act
excited.
I'm
I'm so
actively
excited.
working on it. So yeah, it's again a lot of irons in the fire, but because like I'm wiring the Firebird up for the P59, which is pretty close. And the S10 project, which happens here or there, Silverado project, same kind of deal. I'm act like every night I've been coding on this thing for
Mm.
I don't even remember when I started on it. It's been a while, but I've been working on it actively. Like I've already got kind of the PCB circuits kind of figured out already. I have a lot of the code getting there. I'm still rusty on computer software, so one of the guys that helped me with the Full Send project, shout out Sky Schmidt. He'll be helping me with the computer software as well for the computer interface for the live network monitoring and stuff like that. But so yeah, it's going to be a little bit, but I'm actively working on it, so it is something
That
that's
is
going to be coming to
awesome,
market.
man. I'm hoping
So,
when my shop gets out here eventually that so how it's going to be set up is it's almost like a little lab. So I'm hoping to get delve into some of those details like you're doing currently. It's just the space that I have here, man. I cannot do it.
yeah,
I
I
am
hear you
very
there.
limited with what I'm able to do in my not only just time but physical space.
Yes, I hear you there. I totally hear
Yeah.
you there. So, talking about bringing things to market,
Hmm.
uh, engine run stands and
Yes, material racks.
material
And
racks.
that is the tip of the iceberg. That is what I currently have pretty much fully designed with blueprints ready to either sell as packages for blueprints if someone wants to DIY together or to get the material pre fabricated or just do some cutting, some laser etching, and send out as kits for DIY. And everything that I'm releasing is set up to where you can weld it together or you can take the same exact kit that is the weld kit, and because the laser etching is going to have locations of where you would need to drill, you can drill out the holes and put everything bolt together. So it's gonna be
Okay.
bare bones. The goal is to release some kind of shop, not really necessarily equipment, but some stuff handy for shops or smaller garages at a my mind is going a mile a minute right now in my head, in a budget friendly manner, allow someone to get an engine run stand or a material rack. So it's not going to be fully packaged up, foam shipped with hardware, all this other
Hmm.
sort of stuff. There's going to be kind of two packages in one. Like I said, you can weld it together or you can drill out some holes yourself with your own drill bits and your own hardware supplied
Yep.
and bolt the stuff together. But everything is going to be set up to where you can do either or just buy some blueprints and kind of source the material
Do it
yourself.
yourself.
So yeah, so
Yep.
those two things, like I said, those two things right now, they're pretty much good to go. And I need your input on some of these um, very fine details toward the end,
Okay.
but those two are ready to go, and those are the tip of the iceberg. I am going to have and just pump out a whole plethora of stuff that's going to be useful for shops.
Awesome. I'm
Yeah,
game.
I
I'm
cannot
down.
wait. I gotta so after this. remind me. I'll go ahead and send you the blueprints or some pictures or some renderings if you want to go
Okay.
ahead and overlay currently what I have. And that's pretty much the final design of what I have. But like I said, afterward, I would like to talk to you a little bit about some of the fine details of how they're going
That
together.
sounds good. And if anyone's interested in the blueprints I'm gonna have overlaid on the screen, reach out to either Kevin or I, and
Mhm.
we'll be working on getting this to market quite directly.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and it's going to be soon. So these two things I want to put out there within the next month, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. Like I said, when I say they're pretty much ready to be released, they're really there, pretty much ready to be
really
released.
close.
Yes, yeah.
Awesome.
So that is going to
So
be a very soon thing, and they're going to be keep pumping out.
awesome. Awesome. This
Yeah,
is gonna be awesome. So yeah,
yeah. I'm
and
excited.
like I'm pretty sure you've sent me some of this stuff before, and what we're gonna look into it more later.
Mhm.
But like the
And I've
wind stand
released
stuff, it
a
like
few of the
just so
stuff
you
on
guys know,
Instagram
it's
too of just some of the quick
yes,
renderings.
yeah, that's
And
what it
those
was.
aren't the total finals
Yes,
either.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so if anyone's interested in that stuff, just let us know, and we're gonna have more coming out between
Yeah.
again like the Canbus stuff I'm working on and all the shop equipment and
Mhm.
stuff you're working on, plus machining or whatever else we figure
We're going to
out.
be
Like,
the
just
world's
stay tuned. We
one-stop
got a lot of
shop
stuff.
for automotive. Yeah, we are going to be taking off like a rocket.
I'm excited. This is gonna be
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
But all right, I'm going back to our subjects real quick.
The shop. So my shop, I don't
Yes,
know if we've got into that yet. Did we touch on that last time we did an episode of me getting this oil
I believe
filled
so.
skid shop? I mean, doghouse type thing. So it's a plate steel shop. It, and I sent you two pictures. I'll leave it up to you whether or not you want to post it. That's the interior of it. It's not a cleaned out shop,
Okay.
so that's like the
Yep.
dirty little the room that you're seeing. So that's it's been sitting for kind of a few years and out in
Okay.
the element. So this stuff's got in the shop and it's not done cleaned out yet,
Hmm.
but it is a 8 foot wide, 8.5 foot tall in the center, 8 foot tall on the sides, 26 foot long plate steel welded together shop on skids, ready to be lifted up with a
Okay.
crane up on a big flatbed or semi trailer. It's like an oil filled doghouse. And this thing is the shop
Okay.
that the universe does not want me to have, apparently, because it has been a few months of me trying to get it out to my property. And I posted a message on Instagram with a picture of it of the a semi truck that I hired to haul it out there. That Murphy, I'm going to end up kicking Murphy in the nether regions for no matter no matter whatever could
Whatever
go
can
wrong
happen's
has
gonna
been
happen.
going wrong. Yeah, yeah, good old Murphy's law. So initially we had a few weeks of back to back rain, and right as it would dry up for me to be able to hire somebody
Okay.
to go get the shop off the property of the owner of which I paid the shop for, uh, it has been raining again. And this is not something that you can fit on a flatbed truck. I know we spoke previously about the lathe that I purchased, and it was on an F450
Yes.
flatbed, and just the lathe itself had the wheels 4 feet in the air from tilting the lathe off of the back of the bed. So this is something that's so heavy that you physically have to get a semi with like a lowboy trailer
Hmm.
with some sort of like massive winch to be able to get this thing on. And there's specific oil filled trucks back in the day that they built specifically for moving these things, and that was their whole purpose. Um, so we have had so much rain back to back, and when it dried up, just enough time for me to get it, it would rain again. Well, then I had everything set up. I got the company together, and the reason I'm sticking with this company and not going with another one is the price, is they are really taking care of me. I don't really want to put the name out there because you can overlay the
Okay.
picture of the semi truck on the screen if you want, broke down. But
Yep.
right as I was ready to get it,
Okay.
right as I was ready to get it and
Oh
get them out
no.
there,
I wasn't sure.
they
Like, I saw the photo. I didn't understand the context of it.
I spent almost 5 hours with them, literally within sight of my shop in front of the person's drive, broke down with this semi. And it's not really the company's fault. Stuff happens. And I was just so ready to get the shop, and we were literally looking at the shop from where we were at broke down, and we physically could not get the shop. And then right after it starts raining again, so it's going to be. I'm hoping to get it now by my birthday, July 15th. So it'd be really nice to be
Okay.
able to get the shop by my birthday, but that's the time frame we're looking at. It just seems like the rain would happen, or I'd set it up with them and it'd be ready to go, but had to go that night because the next morning it was going to rain. And then the lady I purchased it from
Hmm.
had 3-4 months to clean the shop out because she wanted to go through any sort of trinkets or anything that was in it and clean out anything valuable, which I was fine with. I'm not paying for inside of the shop, I'm paying for the shop itself. So if they have possessions, go ahead and get
Yep.
them out there. But when I've given months notice and then I was ready to go and I got a call, hey, we can't do it right now. I still have to go through it and clean out the shop. I'm like, ooh. And then it starts raining and then there's a dry period and then the truck breaks down. And now I got to wait weeks for it to dry back up
Yes.
because we just had another monsoon rainstorm pour through. It's just God. Murphy
Oh,
is kind of killing me right now. I'm getting the shop, but the plan is to have that thing
yeah.
out. My small lathe put interior inside of it, all my electronic equipment, my
Okay.
oscilloscopes, all my good stuff, my small, uh, not quite desktop, but in between desktop and um, full size milling machine that I got at an auction. Was it roughly
Okay.
about a year ago? I don't know if you remember me talking about that. It was like half
Something like
CNC
that.
converted.
Yeah, I,
Yeah,
I do
so
remember
that
that.
so the
Yes.
spots picked out for my small lathe, the spots picked out in there for the mill, and then I'm going to have all my electrical equipment. It's going to be set up as a good lab. I'm building a lean-to on the side of it to have my waste motor oil processing center, and I'm ready to get going on some projects. I really am, but man, the universe really does not want me to get
Heck
started.
yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Oh, I hear you.
Man.
Trust me.
Hmm.
But oh my, yeah. No, that's gonna be awesome though. That's gonna be good. You're gonna have to keep me
Yeah,
updated with that. And I will put I'll overlay all of this stuff
yeah,
in
yeah, and
post,
it'll
so
be up to you.
everyone's got
They're
photos of
pictures of
everyone
the
here.
dirty inside of the shop, so I don't know how many people want to see the inside with like a tree limb or whatever hanging
Yeah,
on
we'll
the inside.
post them
It's
anyway.
really, yeah, yeah. Screw it. Yeah, it's not so fun.
Provides context.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't look like there's anything valuable in there, so I don't know if anybody wants to go through and pick of why it took so long to get the shop cleaned out. They could.
Yeah. But all right, man. I think this has been a good episode. So
Yeah.
I think we'll wrap it up here. So
All right.
thank
Sounds
you for
good to
coming
me.
on. And
Oh,
to
absolutely.
to all our listeners,
Anytime.
I am
Anytime.
actively trying. I'm
We're
actively
both
trying to
actively
do it
trying
bi-monthly.
because
So
yeah we're
yes.
both trying to we're working on it.
Yeah, we're both busy.
At
But
least
we're
the
working
last
on
one
it.
wasn't
So
6 months ago.
yes, it was only a month
Progress,
ago
progress.
and a
Yep.
couple days. It's progress. So all right, guys. Hey, thanks for listening to Twisted Builds podcast. Have a good day. Bye.
See ya.